I'm Kevin Horn. This is my persuasive speech. This is my audience. Have you ever seen a person that you know was underage, smoking, and wondered where their parents were? Have you wondered how neglectful their parents must be? Let's say this minor was 3 years old. Kind of puts things in perspective there, doesn't it? You would be calling child services in this situation. Now let's say the person you see smoking is 38, but has the mind of a 3-year-old. What would you say then? You would consider the person to be within their rights because they are an adult, but they do not understand the harm that they are doing to their health because they do not understand the hazards any more than the 3-year-old would. What I want my audience to do is think about the rights we have and share, and think about the harm they could cause if we didn't understand them. In many ways, the rights we have are to ensure that we are taken care of in the world. But in some, if we do not restrict these rights, they can be harmful, not only to that individual, but to the individuals around them. Some individuals purposely use their rights to endanger the lives of others. In my work experience, working with people with developmental and intellectual disabilities, I have seen some who do not have restrictions on harmful items such as knives or lighters. And what some individuals would do, they would purposely use these items to harm others. One instance, I had an individual, he was lighting fires inside of the house. And he would also light, he didn't think it would harm outside if he were to set a fire, but the proximity to which it was to the house would have caused harm and possibly burnt down the structure, as well as possibly injured or killed the people inside. And we have restrictions on them when these issues are brought up, but I don't feel these restrictions are really enough. And I think the solution to this is to prevent the incident from occurring before it's possible. And that's why I believe we should have IQ tests administered to people with developmental and intellectual disabilities for the equivalence of that age at which they would be able to have these rights. Say, for instance, if one of them wanted to drive, we would restrict that. They would have to have an equivalency of the age of 16. For smoking or voting, age 18. The equivalent age that someone would be at that age. The equivalent intellect that someone would be at that age, rather. To really think about this, we have to visualize the consequences that these actions would take if we were not to do them. We can allow the individuals with intellectual disabilities to have uninhibited rights, but, as I've stated before, this would possibly cause harm to an individual as well as his roommates, and he would feel that he has no reason to uphold his agreements and his rights. He would feel that he has unlimited rights at that point. He feels that he could go out and harm someone physically, sexually, and he would have no repercussions. But if we can restrict the rights based on the IQ tests, we can allow them to understand the harmful effects of exercising that right, such as smoking, the harm it can do to the body, and the harm that he could do to himself or others with a lighter. And they would be, if they understood their rights, they would be less likely to engage in these activities to where they would harm others, because then they would understand that the decisions they make will affect more than just themselves. In closing, I encourage each of you to think about someone you've known, either with or without an intellectual disability, and think about the harm they may have done to someone else. When criminals misuse their right to possess and use a firearm, do we not take them away? We take away the rights of people who knowingly misuse their rights. Is it not fair that we do the same to those who have not fully understood their rights to begin with? Thank you.